I'm here with Dave Hutchinson, who's a science fiction and fantasy author. Dave, thank you first of all for speaking to us.
Thank you.
It's reached that kind of late night and at a convention kind of feeling, which is possibly one of the more interesting times of a convention.
Absolutely.
You've very recently you had a short story anthology released through Yukon.
That's right. Yeah.
Sleeps with Angels.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit about that and the inspirations behind it?
Newcom have been doing a series of collections called Inspirations, which they're basically trying to collect together stories which haven't been collected together before under the author's name, so they've all appeared elsewhere.
Right.
So all of the stories, bar one in the collection, have appeared in other anthologies or have appeared online. One was self-published, and there is one brand new short story in there. So it's basically a collection of stuff that's never been collected together before in one place.
So we're talking about a collection that's gathered over many years, yes?
It spans quite a distance, yeah.
So is that quite an interesting thing for you, seeing, I'm sure, I mean for an author it's a strange thing seeing from where you've been maybe a few years before to where you are now. Was that quite interesting for you, revisiting some of the earlier ones to maybe later ones in there?
It was rather interesting, and it was difficult to pick the ones I thought that were actually good enough, because my writing has changed quite a lot over the past few years. I'm not ashamed of any of the stuff, but I've seen how my writing has developed.
Yeah. So in terms of that transformation, is it more to do with the style of writing, or is it to do with the type of story that you're telling?
I've become a more confident writer. A lot of the early stuff seems very tentative. Stylistically, I've got better. I'm learning on the job. I'm constantly learning how to write. I've been writing for nearly 40 years now,
yeah,
and I'm still learning how to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I still don't think I've got it quite right yet, but I'm getting there.
Is there anything in particular that you find yourself leaning towards in terms of themes or styles, or any kind of inspiration that you lean towards in your stories?
I don't think so. No. I'm really more interested in character and dialogue and story rather than a particular genre. Perhaps I call what I write science fiction, but some other people might not say science fiction. But I call it science fiction because it's the closest I can think of to what it is, and because I love science fiction.
So in terms of your influences in science fiction, or what are the main influences, writers, movies even, or anything in particular that's influenced your work?
One of the biggest influences in my writing has been Keith Roberts, who wrote Pavane, who I think is an underestimated author these days. I thought he was a genuinely English voice. He wrote very evocatively about English landscape and myth and legend. He had a big influence on me. Len Dayton has also had a big influence on me, Raymond Chandler. There are many more.
Yeah. Okay, well, for your own work, in terms of your own work, because you said you've been doing this for about 40 years, isn't it?
Since I was about 16.
It's a long...
It's a long slog.
Yeah.
Yes.
So your earlier stuff that perhaps maybe hasn't gotten as much light beforehand as you are getting now through your newer publications. What are there any that stand out as favourites amongst those for you personally?
There's a collection called As the Crow Flies, which is currently without a publisher, as I understand the situation. There are some stories in there which I am very, very proud of. I am by nature a short story writer.
Yeah.
it's kind of ironic that at the moment I'm becoming known as a novelist, because it's not really what I do. I find writing novels very, very difficult.
Yeah.
But as the crow flies, though, there is I think some of my best writing is in there.
Well, short stories. I mean, Ian Waite, who runs Newcom Press, he's written for us as well about the benefits of short story writing, and you yourself, you're talking about how much you enjoy that as opposed to novels. What is it in particular that really draws you to short stories as opposed to novels?
I think I have a very short attention span. And I find that if I have an idea for a story, it crystallises in a short form, and it's very difficult to expand it to novel length. Having said that, as the years have gone by, my first short stories were 2,000 words long. Now I consider a nicely balanced short story to be about 8,000. I find it hard to sort of cut it down below 6.
Yeah.
But that's just part of the evolution of my writing. I'm just naturally a short story writer. So a friend of mine said to me once, I showed him my first novel, and he said, Dave, you're a short story writer, really, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, what was it? Because you'd read something longer and went, oh, no.
I think it was a compliment.
Yeah.
I genuinely think it was a compliment. And short stories as a form, I've noticed in recent years are kind of falling by the wayside.
Yeah.
Partly because there's no money in them.
Mm-hmm.
The paying markets for short stories, as I understand it at the moment, are not very huge. And the money is in long form.
Yeah. I suppose that's maybe a product of how things have gone in terms of, you used to have serializations of books and things way back when, and now it's more to do with with film and comics, I suppose. There's still a market for that. Are there any particular niches that you've come across that are bucking that trend in any way?
Not recently, no. But certainly for the past 18 months, I've been concentrating solidly on novels.
Yeah.
And before that, really, I've been selling to anthologies, and not very often. I think there are very few markets in this country. Say, Interzone is still a good market.
Yeah.
Years and years ago, I used to sell stories to sci fiction, which was a wonderful thing. There was some brilliant fiction, but that was online. But I've not seen. I think it partly might have something to do with the fact that these days you can take a short story and you can publish it yourself,
yeah,
as an ebook, and make some money out of it. I've done it myself with a couple of short stories, which I would never have sold to anybody.
Yeah.
But you put them onto the Kindle Direct program that Amazon has, and a year or two later you get 25 quid.
Yeah.
And it's 25 quid you wouldn't have had. They just would be sitting on the computer doing nothing.
But yeah, it is in contrast. It's one of those strange things about it. Obviously, even a short story is that there's a lot of your own investment in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And when you get into that area, I suppose the difficult thing is not the writing, it's the marketing.
Yeah. There's been a lot of talk about how it's becoming more and more important for authors to be involved in social media and self-publicising as well. Have you found that as well? And is it at odds in any way with how you are naturally?
I'm not a natural self-promoter. I'm learning to do it. I was first published in 1978.
Yeah.
And the the business has changed beyond recognition. Back then, the publisher did everything. I wasn't expected to do any of the lifting.
Yeah.
Now, an author is expected to do a lot of promotion. Yeah. It doesn't come naturally to me, but it's something that has to be done.
Was there a particular time that you noticed that more than at any other time that it started to creep more to the forefront?
I've only really noticed it in the past sort of 10 or 15 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose more with, as mobile devices and everything gets more prominent, that would come on.
And social media it's not difficult to do. A lot of authors get it wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of authors, they read Internet Marketing 101, which basically tells them what you should do is you should spam everybody on Facebook and Twitter, and it kind of ignores the fact that anybody who gets spam on Facebook and Twitter just deletes it. Yeah. It really doesn't work. So long as you're prepared to have a conversation with your readers and be accessible. I think writers are being required to be a little more accessible these days because of social media. And for me that's fine. I enjoy chatting to readers. I enjoy chatting on social media. I'm a complete pest to people on Twitter. And I think that's the way things are going to go. And things like this, podcasts, and it's kind of instant journalism, which it didn't exist at all when I first set out. I was interviewed by the local paper, and that was it. And BBC local radio. And now we have something like this. You can post the word count of your next novel on Twitter every couple of weeks until people are sick of it. Yeah. And that's it's all part of the conversation. Yeah. But it's striking the right tone that's difficult, I think.
Yeah. So do you still find are you finding there's quite an appetite for anthologies, seeing as that's one way that you can get your short stories out there? And
I don't know, you'd have to speak to a publisher of that. I couldn't tell you what the market is for anthologies. And I've been out of touch. I mean, Ian at Newcon just got in touch with me and said, well, I'd really like to do one of these inspirations of your stuff, because I know there's a lot of your stuff that's piling up that's not been gathered together over the past few years. Yeah. But I'm such a slow writer, it takes a long time to collect. It could be another 10 or 15 years before I have enough short stories to put in another collection.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And I really want to start writing short fiction again. Yeah. But I've got a new novel coming out in November, Europe at Midnight. I've got the third story in the trilogy, Europe in Winter, which I have to write. It's still not finished. And I can't look any further than that. I've really got to sort of get my head down and do that.
Well, tell us a bit about that trilogy.
It started out with Europe in Autumn, which is a near future thriller set in a Europe where the European Union is basically fractured for various reasons, and hundreds of new nations have sprung up, sovereign nations have sprung up. And because of the proliferation of borders, there's some difficulty in transporting certain goods backwards and forwards. It might just be post, it might be stuff that's a little bit dodgy, it might be people. And out of this situation grows an organisation called Le Coureur de Bois, who they're basically smugglers. They're heirs to the Tristero from The Crying of Lot 49. And the novel involves an Estonian chef who works in Krakow, who gets involved with these people and starts to work for them, and he uncovers a kind of conspiracy and finds himself being manipulated and involved and stuff. And the second one expands on the story
Yeah.
And the third one will be a proper sequel that winds everything up, hopefully.
Yeah.
And European Autumn has done better than I could possibly have expected.
And that's through
Solaris,
right?
yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And it was nominated for a BSFA award. It was nominated for the Clark Award. It was on the Campbell Award long list or short list, whatever it was. And I could never in my wildest dreams have imagined it would do that.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you put in the hard yards, so. Yeah,
well, you know, you put in the hard yard with all your work, and a lot of the time it's a question of being in the right time, being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Or just getting one person to say, yeah, I really enjoyed this, the right person.
Yeah.
You know, we got some good reviews by the right people in the right places, and it took off.
Yeah, that's true in a lot of ways.
But you know, I don't think that. I mean, European Autumn is a good book. I think I really did my level best with it. But the stuff in As the Crow Flies, I worked hard at that as well. And although I have people asking me where is it, you know, where can I get hold of it? It didn't get anything near the coverage. It didn't get any coverage. Which, you know, you do all the work, but you see, I've been used to that all my career.
Yeah.
I've been used to writing for an audience of maybe 200 or 300 people.
Yeah.
And now it's very strange to think that I have an audience of several thousand. It's really, really odd, and I'm still trying to get my head around it.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful feeling, but I'm still trying to get my head around it.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, good luck with the novels and to getting back to doing more of your short stories. And you know, thanks so much for speaking to us.
Oh, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you.